Hey guys, and welcome back to We Believe to You. I'm Eric,
And I'm Michelle.
and today we have a topic for our deep dive that was given to us by J. Mendez, Joseph from the Paranormal Journal. It's Lechuzas, guys.
I was gonna say this is the second time he actually gave us two topics, either lechuzas or exorcisms, and I was like, I don't think I can handle exorcisms right now. um, so we decided to cover lechuzas instead, which is still very interesting. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little difficult talking about like Lechuzas without actually talking about witches and stuff like that, but apparently there's a lot of information on Lechuzas.
A lot of experiences too.
So, to start off, guys, so Lechuza in Spanish is owl. Búho in Spanish is owl. Tecolote in Spanish is owl. The difference is a tecolote is, I guess, can be interchangeable with búho. So that's like, think of the owls that have like those pointed feathers that almost look like ears, like Batman.
Aren't they called like the horned owls?
Yeah, but I think there's other owls that are like that as well. But yes, basically any owl, I guess, that has, well, any owl that's not a barn owl or that has that smooth head would be a tecolote or a búho. And
Gotcha.
then any owl that's like, think of Hedwig um, from Harry Potter, that would be a lechuza. So yeah, that's I guess the difference. It's just the lechuza or the búho or tecolote is a common owl, and the lechuza is typically referring to a barn owl. The other thing that I wanted to share with you guys is just like the
The
overall like
dimensions.
specs, yeah, of the barn owl. So typically they, like, an average one will measure 13 to 15 inches in overall length, and but they can go anywhere between 11, as small as 11, to 17 inches. And typically their wingspan is like, the average wingspan is 31 to 37 inches, but the extreme ranges can be anywhere from 27 being the smallest, or 41, which is like what, almost 4 feet
Jeez.
long. So
Yeah.
these things have a huge wingspan. So they're massive. I mean, they can look massive, you know. Uh, and yeah, the weight. I mean, they're relatively light. But yeah, they're size wise, they are pretty huge.
And you're this is just like actual owls, right? You're talking about,
Yes,
or
this is like
okay.
actual owls. Yeah, because that's not the description of what people actually see. Like,
Okay, I
this
was
is,
about to say.
yeah, no. This is what people. This is like the actual lechuza, like the actual barn owl. This is the dimensions of that.
The moment you add a la before the lechuza,
It's when it
then it
grows in size.
becomes
Yeah,
grows in size and the features change a little, huh?
yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, it's hard to say too, because like, I mean, people can see a lechuza and they see it like up close and they're like, holy shit, this thing is huge. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I feel sometimes people could possibly, exaggerate, with the adrenaline pumping and everything. Maybe somebody can look at it and be like, oh my God, so maybe not everything is a lechuza, like the legend of the lechuza
Hmm.
type of thing.
Yeah. So Eric was kind of giving you the dimensions slash specs of what a regular barn owl looks like, um, but a description of La Lechuza, like the witch owl, is that it's a massive bird, like bigger than the what is the 47-inch wingspan that you're talking about,
Yeah.
um, and it's like the size of a small human, so up to 7 feet tall, which holy shit, can have a
Okay, because
wingspan.
if you think about it, a small human could be anywhere between like a foot to 3 feet, right? Or 4 feet.
That's like a toddler,
Well, I mean, there are people that are, that have,
but not a foot.
okay.
That's a little. I feel like a little extreme.
There's like a condition, right? I'm not, crazy. Maybe. Anyway, continue.
I mean, it's possible, but anyway. So yeah, they could be the size of a small human, up to 7 feet tall, and can have a wingspan of up to 15 feet. They're sometimes described as black and sometimes described as white in color, just white as snow. And when I was looking into that, I'm almost wondering if it's like a like. Have you ever heard of like black eyed children? I'm saying like a lot. Have you ever heard of black eyed children, where obviously some of them have black eyes, but then some will pop up later after these black eyed children have, and they actually have white eyes, and they make the black eyed kids leave. They're like white eyed kids. Have you ever heard of that?
The black-eyed children, yes, because we've talked about those
Yeah.
before. The white-eyed children, I want to say that you've talked to me about it, or like you've mentioned it to me, but like I haven't like again looked into it in depth.
Yeah. Well, um, I don't want to go off on a tangent with that, but I know that it's often said that the white eyed children, because supposedly black eyed children are demons, but
Mm-hmm.
even I guess in demonic lore, um, black eyed demons are like lower on the totem pole, and then the white eyed demons are higher on the
Oh,
totem
shit.
pole.
So
So
they're
I'm
still
wondering.
like not good.
No, yeah, they're still not good, but
Oh,
they tell
okay.
the black eyed kids or the black eyed demons like what to do, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I was like under the
but
impression these white-eyed children are like there to like save the day and stuff like that.
I mean, from the stories that I read, granted, it could all be just like creepy pasta stuff, right? Like what
Mm-hmm.
you're just trusting that these stories are real, but um, I mean, like, yes, to an extent. I don't even know. Like I said, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I wonder if that there's some sort of like hierarchy, or if they just like choose like, or maybe the white owls are like quote unquote white witches
Yeah.
versus like black magic
And I'm also going to
witches.
play skeptic here and devil's advocate because I think we should do both sides of it. Because again, the colors schemes as far as owls are concerned, there are darker colored barn owls and there are white. Because if you again, Harry Potter,
Yeah.
Hedwig was a white barn owl, and
Mhm.
then there are barn owls that are darker in color. Maybe not specifically black. Maybe if I looked it up right now, I could find a black barn owl, but they definitely do come in darker colors. And then if you see them typically, we'll get to this later, but typically they're seen at night. So you could, I guess, see one and think, oh my God, it's black, but it's just really dark colored. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, but I mean, but in most cases, they are said to resemble owls. So that's why we get La Lechuza. But in other cases, people have also seen ravens. Um, some accounts say that Lechuza's face is that of an old woman or something more otherworldly with large, dark, almond shaped eyes. Hint,
Which again,
hint.
I hadn't heard the Raven thing before. That was new to me.
Well, I, I'm like 99.9% sure I've talked about ravens being associated with witches.
Oh yeah. No, of course. But what I'm saying in the case of like La
Lechuza.
Lechuza specifically,
Gotcha.
um, and then as far as the dark almond eyes, I mean, if you see a barn owl again, playing devil's advocate, skeptic here. I mean, it's not that I don't believe that that this is a thing. I'm just trying to give the other side of it too. But if you look at a barn owl, their eyes are like a dark almond shaped.
Are they though?
Yeah. Like,
I mean, they look pretty circular to me, but
do they?
I
Let me
mean, I
see.
guess it's like how you're looking at it. I mean, I think it kind of depends on the angle because like this one kind of looks like it's almond shaped, but then like
Yeah.
if you zoom in, like it's actually circular.
But again, we're talking about like you're not like up close to the thing. You know what I mean? Like here we're zooming in
Okay.
on the
Anyway,
image.
let me just have my like what it's supposed to resemble because we're
Okay.
gonna
Okay.
get into it later.
All right.
I love that you're playing devil's advocate, but also you're taking the fun out of it, man. Come
Okay. Sorry.
on.
Go ahead.
Very good. So where can you find these things? I say things because okay, they're reported mostly in Mexico or Mexican states of Chihuahua, Coahuila, and Durango, Nuevo León, and Tamaulipas. On the American side, it's usually the Rio Grande, where we're from.
Yes. Where I
Represent.
currently reside. Puro 956 K.
Oh no, you went there.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is we used to have a lady that babysat us, I guess, and helped out around the house that lived like she was from Durango, and she would tell us about. I want to say it was her that would tell us about how they had like in some of their houses they had like tin roofs, and supposedly you could hear like footsteps on the roofs, like, and they would
Ooh.
say like it was witches and stuff. Again, I don't know if she was just telling us this to like freak us out, or if it was actually something that they experienced in her town or whatever.
Say, is this the same one that told us that she heard whistling in our downstairs or like voices?
I think so. I think it might have
Got him
been.
in?
Yeah, Carmen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
She
So
obviously did not care about scaring children.
yeah, no. But to be fair, I'm sure she probably did hear some stuff down there.
No, for sure. For sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, and I don't know, maybe she had some sort of sensitivity to
Oh,
things, because
yeah,
like I
that's
said,
true.
I want to say she said that they could see them like flying in the sky, and and then they, like I said, they would hear them on the roofs, and some of the roofs were tin roofs. So that stuff it's not, and I don't think it scared me. I don't remember being scared. I just thought it was like crazy, like
Yeah,
not
like,
crazy, like,
whoa,
yeah, like not crazy like you're
cool.
crazy lady, but like crazy, like, yeah, exactly, like, oh man, that's awesome, like, or that's weird, that's interesting.
Yeah.
um so yeah, like I said, we've had a lot of people like around us who've, I guess the paranormal, I guess, has been with us since we were kids, as far as like being told stories and stuff like that.
There's a reason why we are the way we are.
And yeah, exactly. Some of the legends behind the lechuzas, right? Typically, they're only seen flying at night. They say sometimes that a lechuza is, again, it's a nahual, which is a person that can shapeshift into an animal. And typically they say it's a woman. Uh, and sometimes the legend is that it was a woman who was wronged, or something happened to her, and she's looking for revenge on the person or the people that did harm to her. Um, so again, it's usually a woman by day, and she turns into owl by night. Sometimes she's known to snatch up children, uh, because her own children were killed, either by like an angry mob or by a person or whatever. Again, going back to that whole, she was wronged and was looking for revenge. So she'll snatch up children because she wants, like, to have them and take them back to her lair, quote unquote lair. Um, and sometimes she'll snatch up children that are like wandering around outside in the dark. Like, how your parents would tell you, you need to go home by the time these lights come on, because it's getting dark. Um, it's
Well,
maybe because the lechuza will snatch you up.
it's similar to the similar to the duendes, and I was struggling to come up with words for like what these stories are, but cautionary tales. I
Hmm.
feel like we have so many cautionary tales of things that are going to snatch up little kids so that we don't do stupid things like wander into the forest alone or whatever and play too close to the water. And there's always some sort of cautionary tale so that we survive. We don't
Yeah,
do stupid things.
because again, if a kid gets snatched up, I mean, sure, it could be a lechuza, but it could also just be a pedophile snatching up children.
Went dark real quick.
Yep, that's my job here. So, or it, the lechuza can also attack villagers for a crime they may have committed. Another legend is that her kid was killed by a drunk. I don't know if it's necessarily a drunk driver, because I'm sure these legends are very
Much
old.
older.
Yeah, and so just her child was killed by a drunk. So sometimes what she'll do is she'll hang around the bars to exact her revenge. So she'll wait until closing time. Everybody starts walking out, drunk after having a good night, and then while they're in the streets, or maybe when they go into a back alley to take a leak or something, she'll swoop down and boom, kill him or attack him, whatever.
Damn.
Because, well, we'll get there anyway. Because I was gonna say just attack them, but typically if you're touched, I mean, you're a goner.
We'll get there.
Yeah, it's like some of the legends are even that it's actually not a shapeshifting person. It's not a Nahual, but a witch is familiar. So think of like Hogwarts, right? Think of all the witches and wizards, like how they all have their owls, their cats, their rats, their frogs, whatever it is, their animal that they have with them. That's their familiar. Except in Hogwarts, they use them as male, and here it's typically done to like it's used for the witch's bidding. So um although I guess like the snake, right? What was the snake's name? She killed people in
I don't know.
Hogwarts. Anyway, so yeah, so it'll do the witch's bidding. It'll attack people, destroy property, and other things like that, like on the witch's command. So yeah, so it's like her pet, I guess, or her. No, it's her familiar. They're also said to be minions of Satan. They like to take humans as prey, and they're also they prey on emotions, negative emotions, and stuff like that. They're
Poltergeist?
yeah,
Just kidding.
psychic vampires is what I guess one of the word terms here. And then so usually they draw their power from the human conflict and the distress around, and they can sometimes appear outside of a house during domestic quarrels, like waiting for people to get like to storm out. They tend to attack when like, you're at your most vulnerable, I guess, and you like just go out and you're not expecting them, and they'll get you then. I don't remember what age I said that I had seen that Lechuza one time outside the house.
Hmm.
Um but I know it could have been around the time that we were having or my
Having troubles
yeah,
at home.
at home and stuff like that. So I don't know if again it was a lechuza or if it was just pure happenstance that the owl ended up landing in the tree outside our house facing like the house.
Yeah.
But it was around the time I believe that we were having some issues at home and stuff like that. So like when I read this, it kind of like holy shit, you know what I mean?
Triggered
Like
that.
yeah, it made me think of that because I was like, because I always I've told the story before where we were walking inside the house and then all of a sudden I was the last one to like come in and I just see this big owl like land in the tree, and then by the time I called my parents to come down, they were getting to the door and this thing took off. Um, and I never understood why. But then after reading this, I was kind of like, oh shit, that makes sense. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody stormed out of the house, thankfully, and the thing flew away. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know about that part of it, but again, it was around a time where like, yeah, there was some stuff going on. So
Hmm.
it's not important to know the details, but just know that
Oh, yeah.
it
I
was
mean, yeah.
it was a thing that happened.
It's
Um,
just another layer to the story. I mean, because it was already a creepy story that we've
yeah,
talked about. We've talked about Lechuzas in our episodes with Dan and
Joseph,
Joseph Mendez from Paranormal Journal and Hasta la Muerte Chronicles,
Dan Hernandez, yeah.
and he had a really good Lechuza story.
Yeah.
But it just adds another layer to the story that you told. I mean, it was already creepy, but knowing that they are drawn to conflict and distress, and that's kind of what was going on at home when you
Yeah.
experienced yours, is just kind of like
Hmm.
ugh, like even more creepy.
Yeah. And again, like I said, this thing looked massive. I'm not gonna
You're gonna
say
say thick, right?
no, I was gonna say
Oh.
fucking huge, but I'm trying to cut
Oh.
back on the cussing.
Oh, gotcha.
Uh, yeah, this thing looked massive. It wasn't 15 feet wingspan, but I mean it looked very very big, and I can see how people could think that this thing is like 4 or 5 6 4 or 5 feet at least
Yeah.
because it looked big, especially to a kid. Yeah, that thing looked ginormous.
Huge.
Um, yeah, huge, ginormous is the same thing. They're
Yeah,
synonyms.
just whatever.
Um, so if you think, oh, I'll just stay home and feel safe out here, no, these motherfuckers. As I said, I didn't want to
Yeah, I
cuss.
was about to say there goes
um,
your I don't want to cuss anymore.
yeah, not that I don't want to cuss. I just want to try and cut it back. Anyway,
Okay. Did
they'll
someone tell you something or
sometimes
what?
no.
No.
I just from the last time that you had mentioned it, I felt like I'd been cussing a little bit more than usual, and I was like, I need to cut it down.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
Um, yeah. So if you're feeling safe at home, these things might try and lure you out. Sometimes making sounds of a crying baby so that you come out of your house. Because I mean, you hear a crying baby, you're like, why is there a crying baby? Although I don't know, would you go outside if you hear a crying baby?
Me being me, probably. I mean, well, yes and no. If it was just like, oh, it's been like a minute and the baby's crying, whatever,
Uh-huh.
if like it goes longer, then I'd probably like look out my window like, where is this freaking baby? And if it just continued even longer, then I'd be like, all right, there's a baby clearly in distress and no one's paying attention to it. And then I would go outside and get snatched up by the lechuza. I think that would work on me,
Yeah.
honestly, more
I don't
so than the
know.
whistling.
I think like I want to say I would probably check too, just because I'd be like, why is there a crying baby? But then I also feel like I'd be like, well, maybe it's like a neighbor or something, or, maybe it's like a neighbor's kid outside. I guess maybe, like you said, if it's prolonged and it's after like a long time, maybe I would go out and be like, why is there a crying baby? But I
I
don't
mean,
know.
babies get abandoned and stuff all the time. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
guess maybe just typically not like in the area that we live. So I would think it's kind of weird. But anyway, another way that these lechuzas try and lure you out, or not necessarily lure you out, but like I guess maybe if you're outside or something, and they'll make a whistling sound like a human whistling, and if you answer back like with a whistle like your own or whatever, uh, they'll come down, swoop down, and they'll take you away to their lair.
It's a good thing I don't know how to whistle.
I do, and I love to whistle. But I don't know
Um,
if I would like if somebody whistled if I would whistle back randomly. Maybe I
yeah.
would. Maybe I gotta
that's how
stop that.
that's how you would get snatched. I would
Yeah,
get snatched
probably.
by baby crying. You'd get snatched with the whistling.
Yeah, maybe if it was like one whistle, and I would be like, okay, so they whistled, and then if maybe they whistled again, I'd probably just whistle back just to be dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
You totally would. Not
So
saying
anyway.
you're dumb, but
And then the last one, it's if you wake up in the morning and you typically see like the scratches on your windowsill or on your doors, it means the Chusa has been there and is coming for you.
ooh.
So,
I
mhm.
have had an owl outside my window. I'm just gonna call it a regular owl. It wasn't a lechuza, but because it didn't whistle, it hooted.
Mm.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I woke up randomly in the middle of the night. This is why it was creepy though, because it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh no.
So it was like the
The
witching hour,
witching
and I
hour.
just randomly woke up and was just laying in bed, and I just hear right outside my window, and there is a tree outside the window, but I just heard whoo 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 whoo, and I was like, "Fuck that!" And I
But did you
randomly fell
you said
asleep.
you didn't see it?
I didn't want to go look out the window. Are you
So
kidding
maybe it
me?
was a Lechusa and you don't
Oh,
even
shut up! I
know,
just got
dude.
goosebumps.
Yeah.
Well, see, good, but it didn't whistle. But what we're gonna talk about later on, like that's what came to my mind
Oh,
first
okay. I
before
see. I see.
lechuza,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I honestly hadn't really heard of lechuzas or didn't know the legends of lechuza more
Yeah.
so than I know what owls are also associated with. So in my mind, that's what was happening, because I did like just immediately fall back to sleep, even though I was like freaked out and scared, and then
Yeah.
I just knocked out. But it was just like the creepiest. Ugh, I don't know. And I love owls. Like owls are beautiful
Yeah.
creatures,
They're dope,
but
dude.
I don't know. It was just super eerie when I heard it at 3 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning. All right. So consequences of interacting with a lechuza. Just don't do it because it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if you shoot at it, it doesn't die. You die instead. So I want to almost see this play out, because I'm like, is it like one of those things where it's like you shoot at it, but then the bullet goes through you instead? Or is it like it ricochets
Mm,
off the owl and then goes back to you? Or do you just like die and there's no bullet wound? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's when I read that, I was like, I'm curious as to like how that
Kind
happens or how it plays out.
kind of like in Call of Duty when there's friendly fire. After a certain amount of friendly fire, the bullet damage is on you instead of the person that you're shooting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny. If any part of the lechuza touches you, like even a feather from its wingtip, you die. Don't let it touch you.
Which is why I said that if it attacks you in the bar, like I was gonna say like, oh, you just get attacked. No, like if you get attacked in the alley or whatever by the thing, by the lechusa
You
when it
die.
comes, yeah, you're dead, pretty much, according to the
Dream about the
legends.
creature. Sorry. Dream about the creature. That means someone in your family will die. And it was, I don't know. I have you ever watched Parks and Rec, Eric?
Like episodes. I've never seen the whole series.
Okay. Did you did you watch the episode with the Venezuelan politicians?
I don't think so.
Okay, so there's a part where there's like this little like uproar happening while they're trying to have like a council meeting or a meeting, whatever. And he's like, "Where are the guys with guns to take everyone to jail? Or just take the protesters to jail."
Uh,
And he's like, "In Venezuela, whatever. If you overcook fish, right to jail. If you undercook fish, believe it or not, right to jail. Blah blah blah." Like he keeps going on and on, right to jail. Like just for the stupidest things, right to jail.
yeah.
But anyway, so when I was like reading through the consequences of interacting with a lechuza, it's like touch the feather, die. Shoot at it, die. Dream about it, family's gonna die.
Yeah.
But
So just
anyway,
no
yeah,
interactions, guys. Basically, is what this is saying.
death will
Um,
follow.
but if you, I guess, do decide that you want to kill it or you want to protect yourself from it, um, I mean, they have been killed. They say that if you kill you manage to kill the lechuza, you won't find a bird. You won't find the owl. What and the next day at the if the body's still there, whatever, when the sun comes up, what you'll find instead of the body is the body of a haggard witch or just a
Ugh.
witch. You know what I mean? So the bird transforms back into the witch. So again, going back to that whole during the day it's a witch, during the night it turns into this owl. One of the ways that you can protect yourself is by hanging a rope with 7 knots outside of your front door or on the porch to show the creature that you acknowledge and respect it, and that it will leave you alone. You can also repel an attack by throwing salt and chili powder at it in its face, kind of like pepper spray, I guess. But I mean, honestly, who in the right I mean, unless you're actively afraid of lechuzas, I don't think you're going to be carrying salt and pepper with you to throw at a lechuza's face.
I mean, if it's like always around
Well, that's
or
what I'm
like keeps
saying. I
coming
mean,
back. Like, okay,
yeah.
if I saw scratches on my window or my door and I'm like, okay, lechuza's here,
Hmm.
then I'd probably carry around some salt and chili powder.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're like at a bar and you're coming out and start getting attacked, it's like you're not going to have it on hand. Is what I'm saying. But I again, that's what I said too. Like if you are having experiences with it, like maybe you'll start to carry it around. Like you said, like you see the scratches, like and. So I guess
It's coming for you.
if you start seeing scratches on your windowsill or on your door, start carrying chili powder and salt, so you can throw in its face.
Nice.
Um, and what's this last one here? Oh yeah, so this one is also kind of like, I mean, unless you know the prayer and then you practice doing it backwards, like this one also seems kind of difficult to do, in my opinion, because I mean, I don't know the prayer. So you can recite the Magnificat, or in Spanish, it's La Magnifica. It's a Catholic prayer from the Gospel of Saint Luke, and the like I said, the prayer has to be recited forwards and backwards in order to kind of repel the lechuza. But again, I feel like if this thing is swooping in, like you bet, maybe I should have looked. I said like a lot too. Maybe I should have looked up the prayer. But if it's a long prayer, you better recite that thing like a Mexican grandmother, because uh yeah, you're not. I don't think you're gonna get through it uh by the time it gets to you. And I guess if you're not Hispanic or Mexican, the reference to the Mexican grandmother is they usually say prayers really, really fast.
Really fast.
Like if
Can
you've ever
confirm.
been to a rosary, it's just like all you hear is.
The accuracy, though. So it was funny. Right before we were going to start recording, I wanted to get a light because I was just super orange with the lighting that I had. So I was like, let me just get a light so I don't look so orange. Anyway, went to the bedroom to get my nightlight, and on my nightstand I had this book that I was reading called Magia Magia, and it's by Alexis Arredondo. Jesus,
Yeah,
Alexis
close enough.
Arredondo and
Yeah,
Eric Labrado.
tocayo.
Um, Labrado.
No, tocayo. Eric. He's my tocayo. We have the same name.
Oh, I don't know what tocayo is. Okay, anyway, I could barely even say arredondo. But yeah, so these are the authors, and it's actually a really awesome book. It's just got a lot of it's got a lot of folklore and different spells slash rituals and things that you would see curanderas doing and stuff like that. Which and is I don't know. I know some of it, but I feel like I don't know enough of it, so that's why I got the book, and it's very fascinating. But anyway, so I picked it up and I was like, I wonder if I'm pretty sure there's got to be something about La Lechuza in here. And I picked up the book and I opened it, and on this page that I opened, it was La Lechuza. So I thought it was pretty fascinating. I just wanted to read something from there. It's actually funny too because it says La Lechuza and then it says the screech owl.
Yeah,
The barn owl.
those are the barn owls. Yeah.
Okay. So what you just said about how to protect or kill by saying this prayer forward and reverse.
Oh no,
Um,
I'm sorry. The screech owls are buos. Those are the ones with the
oh, okay,
little
with the little
horn things.
horns.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It was kind of said the similar thing, but instead of the Magnifica prayer, it said to say the Lord's Prayer backwards
Which is
while
Our
staring at the
Father.
bird. Yeah. And then when you finish, the Chusa will fall from the sky. The next day, a strange man or woman will appear at your home and ask for a random item like a cloth or a string. And you give them the item and they leave with no fuss. And soon after, your luck and money will change, and for the better, I should say. And this legend basically states that it's not the owl you're conjuring, but the Nawal. Did I say that
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or the witch that transformed itself into the owl that appears at your door. So the gift that they asked for is returned threefold with their magical blessings. These days, the owl is called upon as like a spiritual messenger or a guide, although they still have strong ties to death and the dead. So the Lechusa is actually called upon too for magical practices. You can invoke the Lechusa to help you carry messages from the land of the dead, or to call the bird for necromancy. The bird of the dead is also known to be the messenger of the Mexican saint of death, known as Nuestra Señora la Santísima, damn it, I was on a roll. Nuestra Señora la Santísima Muerte.
I don't know. People pray to her. To each their own. I feel like I would never mess with her.
So the book actually talks about her too, and it's like, because there's Santa Muerte la Roja, Santa Muerte la Negra, Santa
La
Muerte
Blanca.
la Blanca. Same.
Oh
See,
wow, that's crazy.
magia.
Because I've actually seen all three versions, like in statue form.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is like, it. He cautions, or they, I guess, is two authors. They caution like if you are gonna have a relationship with Santa Muerte, like you have to be super respectful, and like
Yeah.
this A, B, and C do not like it has
Yeah.
to be very specific and very respectful, or else she will
Hmm.
fuck shit up.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
that's what I've heard. Maybe we could do a deep dive on her later,
yeah,
because
right.
that's I mean, especially since like we're down here, that's something that's very common, and again, it's something that I've seen a lot of people. I've seen people tattoo her on their legs. I've seen people wear chains with like a pendant with her on it.
Yeah.
I've seen people have altars. Again, I've seen statues like sold in the market of you know the three different colors and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
we're getting off on a tangent. But
Yeah.
I think we should do a deep dive on that for sure
Yeah.
at
That'd
some
be
point.
interesting. I'd like to get more info.
Yeah. So this next section is
Ah!
I'm gonna let
Sorry.
Michelle do this because like I said at the beginning, it was something that I hadn't really
Considered.
considered or really like known about this, about La Lechuza or the legend, or how it could tie into this specific topic. But after reading it, it makes some sense. Like I was like, oh wow, that could. Which also made me think of that day um, that I saw it outside our windows. So I'll let Michelle do this section because it's her topic, and then I'll at the end I'll let you guys. I'll tell you what I think the Lechuza could have also been.
Okay. So I'm gonna preface this with I did not add this section in here.
No,
Um,
she didn't.
Eric, so we usually do like little book report, essentially bullet points of when we do our deep dives. Um, and Eric did this one, so this was Eric. This wasn't me. But I will say that I was totally going to add this if he didn't, and he did. So I was pleasantly surprised.
So you had also found this in
No.
I
I just
oh
know this relationship.
oh I
Yeah.
didn't know. Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
know
I
this at
know that.
all.
Yeah, no, I know this relationship
Oh,
and
okay.
these. Okay, so all right, people also connect lechuzas with aliens. Alien abduction phenomenon have reported the sightings of owls before and during their supposed abduction experiences. They claim that the owl is used as a screen memory to take the place of the aliens themselves, so as to cause a human less trauma in dealing with the abduction experience. So, you know how I have talked about my dreams where I'm like, oh yes, I've seen these like brown skinned like alien creatures like come up to my face. That's like scary. It's scary as fuck. Like they're creepy, and I don't want anyone to see those. Like it's just creepy dreams. And so what they do is they'll come to you as owls because we just talked about owls being beautiful
Hmm.
creatures. So you're like, oh, cool, an owl. But really behind that owl mask is actually an alien. Um, Owls are often associated with the arrival of greys, you know, the short, menacing, spindly, hairless creatures with the big old black eyes who carry humans off for experimentations and tests in the UFO. Um, which, yeah, I've heard them associated with greys a lot.
Which is kind of
Um,
crazy too, because big black eyes, the lechuzas have those eyes.
yeah,
You
that's
know what
what
I
I
mean?
was. Yeah, that's why I was early on when you were giving the description, or when I was
Hmm.
giving the description. Sorry, when I gave the description, out of context, you would think it was an alien description.
Yeah,
So like a gray. Um, so Mike Lell, if you guys know abductions, UFO, like if you're into all that kind of stuff, these next two names in these books, if you haven't read them already, you should. Um,
because I've never heard of these two guys, so I'm like, it's crazy that I put this in here, just thinking, oh, she'll love this, and not thinking you'd. I mean, I don't know why I didn't think you would know this, but now it just, I'm like, I mean, I'm happy that you know all this because it's cool, but I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, cool, awesome.
yeah, yeah.
No,
No,
no way.
it's I've heard about them. I mean, I guess just throughout the years, but
Yeah.
on other podcasts. I've actually heard interviews with both of these guys as well, and that they talk about these books. But the first one is Mike Cleland wrote a book called The Messengers, Owls, Synchronicity, and the UFO Abductee. And it's a 400-page book where he talks about screen memories and how the aliens use owls um, as a disguise, essentially. And if I remember correctly, he was like he had multiple experiences with these owls, and
Mm.
then he started connecting the dots and finding that other people were having these same experiences, and owls just kind of kept popping up, and not even just like in at home, like in their dreams, like oh they're getting abducted, but they would see them while driving home and be like, I just saw that owl, and then keep driving. It's like, wait, that was the owl from like back there. How is it on the road again? Like just kind of situations like that. It was weird.
Hmm.
Um,
I think the aliens need to figure out another animal for Hispanics or Mexicans in general because the lechuza's not working, my friends.
the Chusa's taken.
Yeah.
Apparently, Chupacabra is also an alien, so
Hmm.
just throwing that out there. Anyway,
Interesting.
so Willie Strieber is the other person that we're going to talk about. So he, I mean, if you have not heard of him or these books, you're probably not into UFO lore. I will just say that. And if
So,
you are into UFO lore and you don't know, go look him up, read his books. So he wrote Communion, and he has also linked owls to the arrival of the Greys. And yeah, his book Communion is about alien abductions or the alien abduction phenomena. But yeah, it's definitely not the first time that I had heard about aliens and owls kind of going hand in hand. And one of the podcasts that I listen to a lot, it was where I get my alien UFO fix, is it's called Somewhere in the Skies with Ryan Sprague. I love Ryan Sprague. Like I love the podcast, but I don't know, something Ryan Sprague is just good vibe. But he actually does interview with Mike, and they talk about his recently released book, Stories from the Messengers, Owls, UFOs, and a Deeper Reality. And this just kind of goes into obviously more about how owls are connected with UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. And that one is really, really fascinating. It's about an hour long. But yeah, check that out. Somewhere in the Skies. The episode is called Owls, UFOs, and a Deeper Reality. So yeah, that's why I know these things.
Sweet. So my thing with this is like, okay, so I was thinking about the lechuza, right? And I was talking about how we were having some stuff at home and stuff like that, and that's when we saw this thing. I was also thinking, what if, right? You're with me? What if that night was the night that you ended up on the on the
No. On
on
the
the
floor in the
floor
living
in the
room?
living room? I mean, I can't remember specific dates and stuff like that. I'm not that good with
Yeah.
memory, but what if? Anyway, so we have a couple of stories here now of this legend, right? So this first one apparently takes place in Nuevo Laredo, in like the 50s. So what happened was, I guess the town, the people of this town decided that they were going to kill this lechuza because I guess it had been wreaking havoc in the town. So this one guy uh lured it out of the trees, right, by using his kid as bait. Can you imagine?
That's like awful parenting.
Yeah. So he used his kid as bait to get this lechuza
Jesus.
to come out, and I guess they had like an ambush waiting for it. So as soon
Uh-huh.
as the lechuza swooped down to try and take the kid, several men like shot at the bird, uh, but only managed to hit it in the claw before it flew off. Which again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier about how they what's it called? Like if you try and kill it and you don't, like you die, or if
Oh,
you shoot it and
yeah.
you die. So
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody died in this instance, but yeah, apparently
Hmm.
they shot it, clipped its claw or hit it in the claw, and it flew off. So then the next morning, the town members, I guess, like imagine pitchforks and all that stuff, but maybe they didn't have all that stuff. But they go to this supposed witch's house. So like this lady that everybody like knew that, oh, ella es la bruja, like type of thing.
Mhm.
So they go to her house, they answer the door, and the lady ends up answering the door with her leg bandaged and a crutch. Um,
Mhm.
don't really know what happens after that. That's how the story is kind of ended. And I feel like I've heard this story, not necessarily this specific one, but like versions of this story. It's kind of like a
Yeah. A
typical kind
trope.
of, yeah, a trope. Yeah, exactly. That's the word I was trying to think of that I couldn't.
Honestly, I don't know how I even knew that word or
Yeah,
remembered that. I know the word, but how
the
I just,
common trope. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like this could be a real story. It could be 100% made up, but it's definitely something that I've heard before. As far as like the way the trope and how the story plays out and stuff. So,
Yeah. So, in the town of Santa Rosa, Texas, near the border with Mexico, there was
mhm.
a mass sighting of La Lechuza in 1977. The bird was spotted on a tree and then flew to the front door of a woman, scratching the door as if it wanted to get in. By then, the neighborhood dogs arrived, barking, and the lechuza flew away. The dogs ran after the birds as far as they could, but gave up when the lechuza flew too high. The next morning, all the neighborhood dogs were dead. Several people saw the massive bird, and all were mystified by the nighttime death of the dogs. That's fucked up. Why did you make me read the story with the dying dogs?
You chose that story, dude. I told you there was two options. I was wanting to read this one because, but you read it, so that's your fault.
That made
Anyway,
me sad.
what I would like to try and see if it'd be possible to do is like look up but it's because it just gives a year, right? That'd be crazy to do.
Well, one of the little things that I wanted to mention was that in Robstown in
Mm-hmm.
1975, there's a huge sighting of, well, people were calling it La Lechuza because it was
Mm-hmm.
a large bird with human face, and the police department kept getting calls from Robstown and then like the surrounding areas essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know, maybe some people did see some things, but they ended up finding the quote unquote La Lechuza, and it was like a dummy that these kids had made.
Uh,
Yeah, and like I mean, it literally looks like, I guess, like a huge owl, but like huge, like 5, 6 foot, and they it looks like a Michael Myers mask. That's exactly what it looks like. I feel like they just put that mask on top as the head and called it a lechuza, and like put it up
mm,
in a tree. And so people were having these sightings of like a lechuza, but it was supposedly just this dummy. So I was like, well, I read that whole article just to find out it was bullshit. That was sad. Well, I have a newspaper clipping of the one from Robstown, a picture of it. I should probably send it to you so you can
yeah,
see.
or we could post it on.
Yeah, we'll post it
Yeah,
too. This next story, it says, it's not my story, but heard it from my sis-in-law. Well, she grew up in Ganado, Texas, and she said that she'd hear her mother talking to someone in Spanish here and there at the kitchen window in the middle of the night. She'd get up to see what was going on, and her mother would tell her to go back to bed. In the morning, she'd ask her mother who she was talking to and be told that it wasn't her concern. When she was high school age, she heard voices and went to the kitchen and snuck up on her mother and said she saw a human-sized owl, quote unquote, with a human face at the window. It saw her and flew off and startled the mother. Nothing was said that night. The next morning, she talked to her mother about it, and the mother confessed that she could talk to lechuzas. Or she's told me the story on and off for years, and that's pretty much the same. That's all I know. I was like, I need more information.
that's crazy.
But I know, right? Can you imagine? Well, I don't know. Like, I never thought of that. Can you have a conversation? Can you talk to them? And
Well, I mean, I get maybe, dude, because again, they are supposedly either from like just the witches thing that it sends out, or it is said to be the like a nahual, so technically it is a person, you know what I mean? and
yeah,
and they
yeah.
have said too that they do like this woman said, have the face of a human sometimes, or like an old lady type of thing. um so I mean, maybe, like
Well,
like I guess.
and then what I read earlier about essentially conjuring them and using them in your magical practice as for necromancy and stuff like that. I wonder if maybe that's kind of what was going on, or that's why she was having conversations. Like she was, maybe the mom was a
Conjuring,
witch also, yeah, and kind of like
killing
conjuring and
people.
using it. No, not necessarily killing people. I mean,
Oh,
like, yeah, but I don't know. Just wondering, maybe there's some sort of relationship there that she built.
yeah. Okay. I lived south of San Antonio along 35 between two little towns called Von Ormy and Little. I was at home alone waiting for my dad to get home from work. I was on the couch watching SpongeBob, which was my favorite show. It was a bit late. The sun had set maybe an hour or so before, but the moon was full and lit everything up that you could see like a dim light was on. My grandma's house was on the same plot of land about a few hundred yards in front of my house. I looked out of the window because I saw movement near the back of her house, near the back door. I thought my dad had stopped by there first and was walking home. I ran outside on the front porch to wave at him and yell, "Hello." But it wasn't my dad that I saw out there. I saw this massive bird. I mean, this thing had to have been the size of a big bird from the size of Big Bird from Sesame Street. My kid memory may be exaggerating that a little bit, but it was huge, which goes back to what I had said earlier as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Much bigger than any hawk or buzzard I'd seen before. It was sitting on the picnic table in my grandmother's yard, and it was looking dead at me. I froze, but I didn't feel too scared. I was just really interested in this giant bird outside. It was jet black. All I could see was the outline of it and the eyes shining in the moonlight. I slowly went back inside and peeked at it through the window on the front door. I was so amazed by it. I had never seen anything like it. We stared at each other like this for a few minutes. Suddenly, it spread its wings and flew away. I told my dad about it when he got home about an episode of SpongeBob 15 minutes later, and he laughed it off. But I told my grandma the next morning while eating breakfast, and she went crazy. She started saying prayers and rubbing eggs on me and stuff. Then she told me the story of La Lechuza, which I had never heard before. It sent shivers down my spine knowing that it was staring at me so intensely. After thinking about it for a few days, though, I started to wonder, maybe it wasn't there to hurt me, but to warn me about something. Sure enough, a few weeks later, a huge storm came through. There was a funnel cloud nearby, but it never actually touched down. The winds did do a lot of damage to my house, but grandma's was completely untouched. And that picnic table was the only piece of furniture outside that wasn't blown away.
So as I was kind of trying to do my own research about the Lechuzas, there two movies kept popping up, and it was the Curse of the Lechuza and then The Cry of the Owl. I have not seen these. Normally, I watch the movies for research purposes, but I didn't do that this time. So I'm kind of interested because the Curse of La Lechuza, the cover looked kind of creepy, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, again, a lot of this stuff is stuff that if you know about the lechuzas, it's kind of, don't want to say common knowledge, but it's very, if you're Hispanic or you're Mexican, you've definitely heard about la lechuza. You have some idea of what it is or what it does. Um, some of the stuff, like I said, the alien part of it was kind of new to me. I hadn't really heard that before, so it was kind of interesting, and I'm glad my sister was there to elaborate a little bit more on it, because I mean, if anybody was going to know more about that, it was going to be her.
Hell yeah.
I do want to give a lot of credit to Mexico Unexplained. I did get a good majority of the information there, again, just because like everything was there.
It was very
like, detailed,
concise. Yeah, detailed
yeah.
and concise.
So I do want to give them a lot of credit.
Tell us what you guys think. Is there anything that maybe you know about lechuzas that we might have left out or didn't touch upon?
Or tecolotes or búhos, or what the difference is. Are they the same thing? Because from
Yeah,
my understanding, it's different. But I have, like, from I guess what Michelle was telling me about that book, it seems like it's all kind of one and the same.
yeah. I
Maybe.
mean, I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from you guys to see, or even if you guys have had experiences with lechuzas, share those.
Yeah, and we can share them in our next stories of high strangeness. So I want to thank Joseph again for sending in, or for giving us the idea. We did put a post out, or Michelle put a post out on IG, and he responded with this and exorcisms. Again,
That's
I
gonna be
was,
like a two-parter, and I don't know if I want to research that.
yeah, yeah, I don't know either, man.
Yeah.
I, I
Sorry, Joseph.
I kind of wanted to do exorcisms over lechuzas, just because I was like, well, I mean, am I going to be able to find a bunch of like info
Information.
that's just specifically lechuzas, or we're going to have to talk about like Nahual and like the witches, and like go more in depth into that as well. But no, thanks to Mexico and
Mexico Unexplained.
Unexplained, yeah, it was there. Um, but yeah, exorcisms, I do feel like that's going to be a huge topic. Maybe we'll do that later. I got to build up my courage to do that one.
Maybe like a Halloween special or something.
Yeah, because I definitely feel like there's going to be a lot of images that I do not want to see.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure we
Yeah.
can find plenty of images, plenty of video, plenty of audio. That
No, audio's the worst. I can't for whatever reason do exorcism audio. Don't ask me why I've heard exorcism audio. But it's the growling and the no. See, it's like burning in my brain and playing in my head right now, and I already don't like it.
yeah, but she wants to touch a Ouija board. So anyway,
It's not an exorcism.
it could lead to having to have one
Whatever.
afterwards.
No.
But yeah, guys, so if you do want to get in touch with us and send us any of your info, as far as like any situations that you've been in with lechuzas, or maybe you know somebody, or your grandmother's talked to you about them, or maybe we didn't mention anything, you can send us anything on any of our social media, whether it be in the comment section or messages. You can also go to our beautiful new website,
Woo.
done by Michelle, and you can send us a contact through there. Or you can also go on there and listen to, like, click on any of our links to listen to us, or get all of our links to all our social medias as well. And that's webelievedyou.com. So definitely go check the website out. Again, if you haven't, we do have merch on there. If you want to donate as well, you can go ahead and do that. Because like Michelle said before, this podcast is not free.
We got our first donation though. It was so
Yeah, we did
sweet.
get our first donation.
It was our
Very much
dad,
appreciate it. Yeah.
but it
But
was still great.
yeah, we appreciate it very much. Pops, thanks for listening to us. Don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcast. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on YouTube. Get us noticed. We want new people to listen to us. We appreciate everybody who has continued to listen to us and believe in us and support us, because we believe.
Do you?